I'm just a small-town mechanic, you know? Living in the same routine day in and day out. I fix cars, listen to the same old gossip, and dream about escaping this dull life. But one night, everything changed. I stumbled across some local chatter about an abandoned carnival on the outskirts of town, Willow Grove Fair. The way they spoke about it sent shivers down my spine. Apparently, it's haunted. They say anyone who steps foot on its grounds never comes back the same. Curiosity gnawed at me like a rat. I had to see it for myself. I needed a thrill, something to break up the monotony of my life. So, armed with my trusty flashlight and a camera, because, hey, if I'm going to do something crazy, I want proof, I made up my mind to head out there at midnight. I was convinced I'd capture something incredible that would finally make people believe my wild stories. As I drove to the carnival, the moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the empty roads. The trees on either side seemed to close in on me, their gnarled branches reaching like skeletal hands. The more I thought about the fair, the more the stories played in my mind, ghostly apparitions, sinister laughter echoing through the air, and shadows that slithered just out of sight. I parked the car at the entrance, heart racing with a mix of excitement and dread. The old gate creaked open as if welcoming me into its dark embrace. I stepped inside, and the scent of rust and decay hit me like a punch to the gut. Everything felt frozen in time. The rides stood still, their colors faded, and the atmosphere was thick with a palpable tension. Every instinct told me to turn back, but I couldn't. I had come too far to chicken out now. My flashlight flickered as I ventured deeper into the carnival, the shadows stretching and contorting around me. Somewhere in the distance, I swore I could hear the faint sound of carnival music, cheerful and sinister all at once. With each step, the stories of the townsfolk echoed in my head. What if they were true? What if this was the last adventure I'd ever have? As I make my way to the entrance, the rusting gates creak open with a groan that echoes in the stillness of the night. My heart races, a mix of excitement and dread bubbling inside me. I step through the threshold, and it feels like I've entered another world, one frozen in time. The rides loom before me like skeletal giants, their colors faded and peeling, the paint chipping away like the memories of happier days. A thick mist clings to the ground, swirling around my ankles, and the air is heavy with the scent of decay, a sickly sweet odor that sends chills racing down my spine. I tell myself it's just the thrill of adventure, but deep down, I can't shake the feeling that I've walked into something far more sinister than I ever imagined. I pull out my camera and start snapping a few photos of the Ferris wheel and the carousel, hoping to capture the eerie beauty of this place. But as I click the shutter, something feels off. The shadows seem to flicker and dance just beyond the reach of my flashlight, and every sound, every crunch of gravel beneath my boots echoes unnaturally, as if the night itself is holding its breath. I wander deeper into the fairgrounds, my pulse quickening. Suddenly, I hear it, faint laughter, distant and disjointed, mixing with the sounds of carnival music that shouldn't be playing. The melody is hauntingly enchanting, a twisted version of the cheerful tunes I remember from my childhood. It sends a shiver through me, and my heart races as I move toward the sound, drawn in like a moth to a flame. With each step, the atmosphere thickens. The laughter seems to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once, wrapping around me like a shroud. My instincts scream at me to turn back, but I push on, curiosity overriding my fear. As I follow the melody, I catch glimpses of movement out of the corner of my eye, shadows slipping between the rides, just beyond my vision. I pause, heart pounding in my chest, wondering if I should keep going or turn back while I still can. But deep down, I know there's no turning back now. I have to see what lurks within the heart of Willow Grove Fair. As I wander deeper into the fairgrounds, I stumble upon the funhouse, its entrance looming like a gaping maw, inviting yet foreboding. The warped mirrors reflect grotesque versions of myself, elongated limbs, distorted faces that twist and contort in a way that makes my stomach churn. Despite every instinct screaming at me to turn back, I can't resist the pull. I step inside, the darkness swallowing me whole. Each footfall echoes in the silence, amplifying my growing sense of dread. The laughter that once felt playful now creeps into my bones, growing louder and more menacing with every step. I glance at the walls, covered in peeling paint and odd symbols that make my skin crawl, symbols that seem to pulse as if they're alive, watching me. I find myself drawn to one of the mirrors, compelled to look closer. My reflection wavers, and as I peer in, I catch a glimpse of something behind me. My heart races, and I whip around, but the space is empty. I let out a shaky breath, chalking it up to my imagination, but when I glance back at the mirror, my blood runs cold. The figure is closer now, lurking just beyond the glass, its face twisted into a chilling grin that sends shivers down my spine. I stumble back, panic rising in my throat. The laughter morphs into sinister whispers, wrapping around me like a dark fog, echoing my worst fears. "You're not supposed to be here," they hiss. I turn, desperately scanning the shadows, but there's no escape from the funhouse's maze-like layout. The mirrors reflect endless corridors, each one more distorted than the last, trapping me in a nightmarish illusion. Every instinct tells me to run, but I feel rooted to the spot, paralyzed by the terror of what I can't see. The whispers grow louder, filling my mind with doubts and horrors I never wanted to confront. I take a shaky step back, desperate to escape, but the laughter continues, echoing in my ears, and I know that whatever haunts this funhouse doesn't want me to leave. Panic floods my veins as I try to retrace my steps to the funhouse, but every hallway seems to stretch endlessly, warping around me like a twisted nightmare. The whispers have morphed into a cacophony, clawing at my sanity, pulling me deeper into the heart of this hellish maze. I can feel my grip on reality slipping as the mirrors continue to distort my reflection, mocking me with grotesque images of myself, trapped in a cycle of horror. With each turn I take, another horrifying vision assaults my senses, clowns with hollow, sunken eyes and twisted smiles that seem to mock my every move. They flicker in and out of sight, their hollow laughter echoing in the depths of my mind. The cries for help that echo around me sound all too real, and I can't shake the feeling that they're coming from the very walls themselves. My heart races, pounding against my ribs as I fight to maintain control. As I press onward, the boundaries of reality begin to blur completely. I find myself surrounded by apparitions of those who vanished into this carnival of nightmares. They materialize from the shadows, reaching out with bony fingers, their faces contorted in despair and desperation. "Help us," they plead, their voices blending with the whispers, creating a haunting melody of suffering that wraps around me like a shroud. I stumble backward, trying to fight the suffocating panic that grips my chest, but the walls seem to close in, pulsating with an ominous energy. It's as if the carnival itself is alive, feeding on my fear, its laughter a cruel reminder of the trap I've walked into. My thoughts race, desperately searching for a way out, but every corner I turn leads me deeper into the labyrinth of despair. The realization hits me like a cold wave. I'm not just trapped in a funhouse, I'm part of its dark history now. I can feel the carnival's energy shifting, hungry for another soul to add to its collection. I clutch my flashlight like a lifeline, but the beam flickers, plunging me into darkness. The laughter echoes louder, drowning out my thoughts, and I know I must escape before I become one of the lost souls begging for release. Desperate to escape the hell I've stumbled into, I summon every ounce of strength and determination left in me. My heart pounds like a drum as I race through the nightmarish labyrinth, the laughter morphing into anguished wails that claw at my sanity. The ground shakes violently beneath me, as if the carnival itself is trying to pull me back into its insatiable clutches. I can almost hear it whispering, "Stay with us, stay forever." Finally, I burst through the gates and into the cool night air, gasping for breath, my legs trembling beneath me. But I'm not safe yet. The moment I turn around, my blood runs cold. There she is, the figure from the mirror, her smile stretching impossibly wide, a grotesque parody of joy. Her eyes, hollow and dark, bore into my soul, and I realize this is the carnival's true form, a harbinger of doom, ensuring that I'll never leave. The reality of my situation crashes over me like a wave. I'm standing on the edge of the carnival, and it feels like the darkness is closing in, ready to swallow me whole. Just as I feel the ground give way beneath my feet, I wake up in my bed, drenched in sweat, my heart racing. but the sound of laughter still echoes in my ears, haunting me, reminding me of the terror I barely escaped. Willow Grove Fair isn't just a haunted carnival, it's a trap for the curious, a place where nightmares come to life and take on a life of their own. If you ever feel drawn to the flickering lights and distant laughter of a fair, turn back. The carnival will call to you, whispering promises of thrills and adventure, seducing you with the allure of forgotten joy. But heed my warning, if you answer that call, you might just find yourself trapped in a never-ending cycle of terror, like those poor souls who came before you, forever wandering the funhouse of nightmares.